Welcome to King and Council Media. I'm King, and I wanted to have a quick little intro prior to this episode playing out. So, I run two different forms of media on my YouTube channel. One is Reclaim Your Throne, which is a vlog that I do in which I talk about various topics that can help men post divorce. I wanted to start doing that because when I was trying to figure out what the next steps are, I went to different forums like Reddit and YouTube to find a network of people that could understand what it was that I was transitioning from and transitioning to. Now, I also do Today in My Life, which is a podcast that's hosted on Anchor and distributed to all major podcast platforms. And Today in My Life is my podcast in which I talk about whatever it is that I want to talk about. It could be inspirational stories, it could be critical thought conversations about certain topics, or it could be me just inquiring about somebody's life and getting them to come on and share their life's journey. This episode is someone coming on and sharing their life journey. I was surprised by some of the things that was said, and it'll be obvious, as well as be sure to tune in to the very end. The very end has some information that would have been better if it came out earlier, but that didn't happen, and I couldn't figure out a way to edit it and put it in early. So that's my intro. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Today in My Life, a podcast humanizing life, love, and laughter. Boy, do I have a treat for everybody in this episode. In some of my previous episodes, I've talked about dating, and the previous guests who I had on were from the States, as well as people who were previously never married. The guest that I have on today goes by Soap, and Soap is from the UK and was previously married.
Hi, King. Thanks for getting in touch, and I'd love to share my stories. Love to share my stories.
All right, so how about we start here? So you were previously married, right?
Yeah. I was married for just over 6 years.
What was the reason for the split, if you don't mind me asking?
No. You ask away. My reason for my split was I former military, currently a private contractor, and in the military, I spent a lot of time away. I bounced from tour to tour to tour since I was 17. Bosnia, Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan. Anywhere there was anywhere with people with guns, I was pretty much there as well.
Okay.
Um, and in the 6 years I was married, I probably spent some total about a year and a half with my wife.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. All right.
Um,
Now did you guys get married with her knowing what you did for a living?
she knew exactly what I did with a living for a living because her father had done exactly the same thing, and her mother was a German citizen.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was she knew about the military. She knew what I did. I mean, I kept no secrets from her about what I did and where I went or anything like that. And yeah, she knew what she was getting into.
Man, so that's kind of crazy. So for my background, I served in the Air Force here in the US, and I was in an enlisted aviator job, and I was gone on average about 280 days, man, out of the year. And my current ex now knew that when she married me, and me and her lasted 12 years, man, until things fizzled out. I actually think that if I was still in, we actually might still be married.
No, my it all came to my military career and my marriage and everything all sort of culminated in um, a year of change.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally she came to me and said, you're never here. I said, well, you know what I do for a living. Um, She goes, well, what are you going to do when you retire? You're going to be absolutely knackered. I was like, oh, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to go private contracting. She's like, well, you got to make a decision. Then it's you got to make a decision between me and the military. All right then. I said okay. I said, but this. I said to her, "There's a little thing that we need to speak about before my choice." And I previously found out that the tour I was on, the last tour I was on, Afghanistan, it wasn't a pleasant tour. It wasn't a pleasant tour at all. I mean, there was a battery of 340 something blokes, I think we were, and just over 120 of us came back. So it wasn't a pleasant tour.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, brother.
Nah, it's I lived through it. I use it to strengthen myself. Because if shit like that can't kill me, what can? Well,
yes, sir.
Yeah. And
what's the process like over there for like going through a divorce and filing?
Well, the process. Well, the process for me is it's probably not what you want to hear. It was as unmundane a process as you could ever imagine. I mean, we separated. She went back to Germany because after the "it's me or the army," I went, right, I best pack your bags and phone your mum. And I'd done that. Within 2 days, she was gone.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I literally loaded up a Pantech, like a U-Haul, with all her shit, and said, "Right, bye." I knew before then our marriage was over, but I had a period of like 2 years. We had no contact whatsoever. She never bothered. I never bothered. And I filed it with my local court to say that you know we've been estranged for over 2 years. Had no contact. I'd like to file for divorce, and within a week, I was stood there with my certificate, my decree nisi in my hand, and that was it. That's the long and short of my divorce.
Wow!
It's literally, if it's after 2 years, the wife or the partner can't contest a divorce, so it just gets pushed through. I paid my fee of a stupid amount of money because no matter if it's amicable or not amicable, the courts are going to make money out of it. And yeah, I walked away with one of the best certificates ever.
I personally like to call them my freedom papers.
Freedom papers, yeah.
Freedom papers, man. I was once married. I was a guy that grew up in a household and with kind of like a religious background. So I believed in, a marriage and not really divorcing and things like that. But man, let me tell you, there is no way I'm going to do that shit again. I value peace, quiet, and freedom. And my ex, I think, listens to my podcast actually. So she's going to hear me talk about this. And I say this to everybody. I don't see the value in a marriage. To me, it doesn't really serve a purpose, man. What do you think?
The sanctity of marriage it's a fucking pipe dream. The way I look at it is that I had the sanctity of marriage once. That trust was broken. It wasn't just broken, it was shat upon from a great height, shall we say.
Okay.
So, yeah, no more marriage for me, thanks. It's far too expensive. I'm not a people person, and there's all these people that tip up. I have to be nice too.
Y'all didn't have any kids?
I don't have any kids, no. But
okay.
With my, as one of my friends calls it, my wandering loins, I may have a child on the way.
All right. So speaking of wandering loins, man. So how long have you been divorced now?
I have been I got divorced back in 2012.
Okay. And since that time, what were you doing? Were you out dating? Were you out, just meeting people? Back then, were you in the mindset of, well, my first marriage didn't work, but I might want to try it again? Like, how was that journey for you?
Oh, well, well, after coming home and doing my divorce papers, I kind of, I pushed off into the void and explored the world for a bit.
Ooh.
And, I ended up South America.
Okay.
Yeah, I ended up in South America. and I always wanted a place because I'm just shy of 6 foot. I'm 130 odd kilos. I look like a bear with a shaved head, but I love chihuahuas. I love little dogs. So I went to see the city of Chihuahua, and boy, have they got some chicas.
Ooh, South America. That's one country that I haven't been to yet. I've been able to travel around the world, but I've never made it there yet.
Oh, I've traveled to just about every corner, and I enjoyed Mexico. I enjoyed their the food. I love the food, and and some places you go, there's such nice people as well. But yeah, I ended up I was working a security gig, and it was a private security gig. Wasn't the cartels or anything like that. He was a banker. I ended up staying in this. It was like a little hotel type thing, but there was a bar and a sort of restaurant downstairs, and I was staying in a
Mm-hmm.
room above it. I was quite taken by one of the young servers that was there.
Mm.
Yeah. Ooh.
How'd that go?
Well, apparently she was quite taken by me as well.
She's looking at you said 130 kilograms. I had looked that up. That's about 270 so odd pounds of man sitting in front of her. I bet that you stood out, man, like a sore thumb
Well, yeah,
down in that country.
yeah, just a little bit. I mean, bearded, shaved head, firearm across my chest. Yeah, I kind of stand out a little bit. Yeah, we got talking, and it was a family run sort of a deal. So it was like I felt really quite homely there, and she ended up making a pass at me in the bar, and I was like, "Ooh, not here, not in front of your father. That's disrespectful." So I went up to my room, and later on, I ordered a bottle of tequila, as you do. Yeah, hold the lemon and the salt. I'm going to drink it like a man.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm not even going to dirty a glass. And when she came up with the tequila, we got chatting and things got heated. And the long story short is, I've picked this tiny little cheeker up, and she's now sort of, well, I'm buried deep,
Mm-hmm.
so deep she's loving it. Just in time for her father to come upstairs looking for her.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I get the, oh shit, you best go now. She sort of pulls her stuff together. I start packing my bag, and as I jump over the balcony onto the car underneath, there's a loud crack behind me. I don't think of it because the adrenaline's going. And mile or so down the road, after sprinting my ass off, I realised I got a couple of beads of buckshot in my ass.
no.
Like,
Why didn't you bring her to where you were staying at?
that's where I was staying.
Oh,
That's
okay.
where I was staying. That's what I was like, right, I best spend the night in the hospital getting my ass looked at.
No
But yeah,
way, man. That's
that was
insane.
kind of like one of my first treks out after my divorce.
Oh, so what happened after you kind of got your ass taken
Well,
care of? Like, did you go back?
I done another like 2 weeks on the job, and then I rotated back to the UK. But yeah, I did make the mistake of letting a couple of my colleagues know what happened. So every so often, when I wasn't looking, I'd get a size 9 in between my ass cheeks and reminded how much it hurts.
I know how that life is, man. Anytime that you've got your boys or your comrades around, you can't let them know anything because they will never let that live
Yeah,
down.
we always had a great saying of, "Oh, if you're after sympathy, look in the dictionary. It's somewhere between shit and syphilis."
So, man, so your first kind of hoorah started off with a literal bang, man.
Literally. There's a,
What happened, man, after you got back home to the
oh,
UK?
I got back to the UK, and I'm essentially working as a like a bailiff,
Mm-hmm.
and but because of my military background, I was lent out for the really quite difficult and disturbing jobs. I was on a job, same as usual, same as what just literally same as what I come back after tonight, and I entered a residence. There was a screaming man, drunk or on drugs. I don't know. He actually had a warrant for his arrest. The police were on the way. I raised an issue that evening because the daughter was blackened, and so was the wife. So I picked up this 16-year-old girl that was there with her head kicked in and bleeding from her eyes and nose, and took her outside just as the police arrived. Social services took care of her.
Okay.
Child safety officers took care of everything. I kind of bumped from job to job like that for a while. A little bit out in Syria, a little bit in Russia. Oh, Russia was good.
Russia is on a list of places that I would like to go visit as well. I haven't got my passport stamped there yet.
If there's any advice I can give you, be very polite, be very respectful, and they will show you the world.
I like that. You know, that was something that I think that advice really in general applies to, because me and you were talking prior to the recording of the podcast. I'm an American black guy.
Yep.
All right. Anytime I traveled, a lot of aviators are like, white and male. And what I would notice though is that I was invited pretty much to a lot of different places that some of my colleagues weren't. And I had some of the best times because of that, just understanding the customs and laws and just being respectful anywhere I went. I made friends pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
And some really good times. I have this one story, man, where I'm like 19 years old, and over in Europe, the clubs are called discotheques. And I can't dance, but being that I'm young and you can drink over there like legally over the age of 18, I found myself in one and I'm dancing, having a good time. Had way too much to drink and woke up in somebody else's house that was on a hillside that had a really, really gorgeous view. And there was about 6 or 7 people that was there. And when I finally like kind of came to, I was kind of like, hi. And I was like, hey, the American. I was like, yeah, I don't know where I'm at. And I was wondering if I could get a ride back to this hotel. And they were like, yeah, sure. And this girl who I was talking to was like, hey, I'll take you. We're all going to stay and have some breakfast, make some crepes, some orange juice. We'll eat, and then I'll drive you back to your hotel. So I was like, okay, thanks. And like I made friends just from, being out and having a good time and not being a stupid foreigner. So yeah, man.
This discotheque wouldn't be in Deutschland by any chance, would it?
Yes, it would.
I know the country well.
Yes, it was. That's funny.
Yeah, no, the wonders of a 20-year-old and a bottle of absinthe.
Oh man, I don't remember nothing about that night, but apparently it was a good time.
Yeah, I had a very similar situation with a couple of friends of mine. We picked up some premium bottles of absinthe from Amsterdam, and we got to drinking it. We never bothered with the whole sugar cube and the little glass and everything. It's like, right, neck it till you look like you're about to pass out and then pass the bottle on sort of job. And well, I remember drinking and I remember having a shower and getting ready to go out. But everything after that was a blur. Yeah, sort of. This is like the Friday night, and sort of the Tuesday morning when I wake up in a hotel room in Berlin. It's like, oh shit, how did I get here? Why am I dressed as a woman? And where's all my money?
So let me ask you now. So what are you doing now, man? Are you back out there on the dating scene? What's going on in
Oh,
your world
in
now?
my world now, in my world there are um, three lovely young ladies that I love and respect. In no interest whatsoever in having relationships with, but I'm in a relationship with them anyway. They raid my fridge,
Oh,
they steal my bed, and it's a relationship built out of safety and respect.
okay. And let me ask a question to make sure that I understand it right. Everybody is aware of everybody
Everybody,
else?
it would have been easier for me if they weren't. At least I'd have a bloody bed to sleep in some nights. Yeah,
Got you.
yeah, because all three of them are great friends. One of them is the aforementioned young lady that I saved from her father.
No kidding. I did
No,
not
I
see
didn't
that
see it
coming.
coming either. She contacted me about 2, 3 years ago on Facebook. We got talking, and she had some real mental health issues, and I work a lot with veterans with mental health issues. So I just said to her, I said, look, I
Mhm.
said, you can talk to me about whatever you want. There is no judgment. There is just, if you want to confide in me with anything, I it's between me, you, and the gatepost. So we had a really good heart to heart, and it shed a lot of light on what her father had done to her. Um,
Mhm.
and another young lady is I knew back in the military.
Okay.
But when we was in the military together, she was called Mark.
What does that mean?
She's transgender.
Okay.
Yeah, she's transgender, and she is the prettiest little Asian girl you've ever seen in your entire life. And the third young lady is a good friend of mine, who is actually pregnant. She's pregnant with my child.
I was about to say pregnant
Pregnant with
with
my yeah,
yours.
yeah. They all three have friends of their own that they stay with and visit and frequent, and I get along with them as well. But the house as a whole, my house is a safe space.
Mhm.
There is me and the three girls. Outside of that, you have to be bloody special to come here.
How did you know that it was going to work, or did you just kind of go with the flow?
It was it was going with the flow, really. I mean, it started off with it started off with the first young lady and helping her with her problems. She couldn't sleep, and when she did, she had nightmares. She wasn't eating properly. She found it hard finding work. So I employed her as I said to her, there's a room here. You can stay here. You know this is your safe space. I'll employ you as a housekeeper. She knows I go away a lot. So I said, it's brilliant. There's someone here watching the house. I said, Mi casa, su casa. There you go. And
Mhm.
until recently, I had a live-in housekeeper, but she's actually moving on and found herself a new boyfriend, which is fantastic.
Okay.
Which is absolutely fantastic. But she still comes back and raids my fridge and steals all my toilet paper, uses my washing machine and stuff, and then she disappears again. Kind of flowed together quite nicely because I've known them all for so long. It's just, well, we're just really good friends to start with, and then it just moved on from there.
Am I right or wrong in hearing that you're describing yourself as somebody that is like polyamorous with how you choose to be with somebody?
Yeah, if you want to say it like that. I mean, I had a girlfriend in Germany that was she must have been virgin on the edge of close to 200 kilos, I reckon. She was one of the kindest, most beautiful people I know. I had a friend make a pass at me before, and I wasn't particularly interested. But if you think
Mhm.
polyamorous being, let me get this right, polyamorous being that's multiple sort of relationships.
Yes, my understanding of it is having intimate relationships with more than one partner.
Yeah, I reckon you'd say that.
Was it difficult to manage? Because like I'm kind of on the outside hearing this and I'm like, man, like one relationship can be difficult, but like, having something intimate with more than one, it seems like it can be a lot. Is it a lot?
The relationship side of it is their feelings and their needs always come first. It's very much
Okay.
I mean, I played second fiddle to the military for so many damn years that I'm kind of used to it. Yeah, the
Got you.
whole there's a lot bigger things than myself in the world was kind of beaten into me as a young child. I had, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
both my mother, my father, um, both ex-military. Grandfather was ex-military as well. So it's kind of that sort of mentality was kind of thrown into me for many many years before I realised what it actually meant. So I kind of take over the role of I'd like to make sure that they're okay and their needs and their feelings and everything is taken care of before mine, and they bounce off each other. I mean, the the two of them are best friends still. It's like I might as well
And
be here, and they say you've
and
got to be here because we're hungry and you need to cook.
they didn't know each other prior to
Um,
meeting through
well,
you, correct?
the first young lady knew about the second young lady. Well, I told the second young lady about the first young lady, and it was previous military. That about her situation and everything, and what was happening. And she's like, "Well, you're doing that." She keeps calling me a paladin, and I'm like, "I'm not a paladin. I'm just an ape or bear." It was a long conversation about what I should do and how she was feeling, and because the second young lady I've known for years, the young lady who was a young man. Yeah, yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
had a good talk, and we kind of yeah, we talked it out. It was more of a information gathering and letting each other know what should be done.
I got you. Uh, was there any? How do I ask this question? Because I want to be respectful. When I ask for your friend
Yeah.
who is transgender, was there any reservations about pursuing a relationship like that because of how people tend, like how uh other people tend to view, people who are transgender?
Well, I've known her for years, and any decision she wanted to make about she wanted a boy, be a girl, that was completely and utterly down to her, and I shall respect her decision completely. Sadly, there was
Okay.
people in her life that frowned upon it quite badly. She had a next door
Mm-hmm.
neighbor that took umbrage when they found out she was transgender. I got a phone call
Mm-hmm.
early hours of the morning to a very upset young lady saying that her car's been broken into and the seats have been slashed. And when she went out to look at it, there was her next door neighbor was there, gave her a pair of black eyes. Yeah, yeah, did
Wow.
not sit well with me. Violence ensued, and he was arrested for assault.
Good. Good.
Yeah, so no, I supported her decision completely. I was there when for surgery. I brought her home and looked after her, and as she was having her injections and tablets, and her body was changing, I was with her through that as well because she went through huge amounts of pain with her hips and her back because between male and female backs and hips and stuff are different shapes, and the body changes as necessary. Huge amounts of pain. Um, just looking after her, regardless if she was a girl or boy. I mean, we looked after each other before in Iraq and Afghanistan, so it was no different for me, really. Yeah, she pulled through. She pulled through it in the end, and she become,
Good.
like I said, the most beautiful young lady you've ever seen in your life.
You're currently with somebody that is pregnant as well. Did you ever want kids growing up? Was kids something that was like a possibility for you?
Kids for me was a long think. Going back and thinking about it, it was a long distant idea that I might do later on in life, and I'm 39 now, and later in life is knocking on the door. So it was a kind of an idea of young lady who's pregnant, um, was in dire need of a child. She's before she was pregnant, she had full blown baby brain. You know, puppies, babies,
Mhm.
anything like that. She was absolutely gaga about. She, well, I was her choice for male donor, let's say. Yeah.
Got you.
Um, I mean, yeah, financially I'm stable. I own my own house, but I've got my own transport, a couple of different transports. Stable for a childbirth and raising a child. I mean, we'll have the kid here and raise them the best we can.
Is your current job set up that you're going to be home more or traveling more, or is it more of a
It's
choice?
as a contractor, as a contractor, I'm technically I'm self-employed as a private military contractor, which actually makes me a mercenary.
Okay,
Um, I
gotcha.
do work for a couple of different companies. One I stick to more than others, um, but I do kind of get to pick and choose my contracts in a certain degree. There's some team units I've got to work with. Other jobs I can just say no, I'm not interested. But I can definitely see the shift from like um, I'll not be going to Syria as much. Probably more the Dubai's and the Iraqs and places like that.
Is there a chance in the future that a new member comes into the soap pack, if you
The
will? I'm going
soap
to call
pack.
it soap pack.
We'll call it the wolf pack because I refer to home as I refer to home and the safe space. I refer to that as the wolf den anyway. So I don't know. Life is full of surprises. Yeah,
I
I've
hear
learned
you
that.
on
I've
that
learned
one.
that the hard way, the easy way, the difficult way, the painful way. Every way you can imagine, I've learned the fact that life will throw surprises, spanners, and even a little bit of mud in your eyes sometimes. Anybody that's having issues in life itself, be it, no matter what walk of life you are, just the same piece of advice I give our close friend. Just stop. Just stop, breathe. You can't do anything if you don't breathe and just assess the
Mm-hmm.
situation. And then you can choose the course to go.
I like that, and it's very sound advice that even when you say it, it's
It,
it's simple. The hardest thing about it, I think, is to just keep your brain out of it. But yes, if you take that breath and take that beat, then kind of assess the stressors that are coming at you. Your body can retrain itself to handle that stressor that is coming your way, and you can overcome it without further,
yeah,
having it
yeah,
kind of
stops you
bring you
from
down.
spiraling. And even I've even said to people in the
Mm-hmm.
past, I said, when you stop, before you take your breath, doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, physically take a step backwards.
Hmm.
It's physically meaningful to just stop, take a step back, and just have a good deep breath. Chill your nerves. Just chill the fuck out. Stop spiraling. You get into that worrying pattern in your
Mm-hmm.
mind. Oh, what about this? But what about that? And what about this? And then you start spiraling. That's when you got to stop, breathe, and assess the situation. And it doesn't matter a shopping dilemma or you've got fucking bombs and bullets raining down on your head. It works for any situation, I found.
Man, that's some really sound advice, and I'm glad that you shared that. So, I got one kind of final thing for you, and then I'll let you go First of all, thanks for
Not a
coming on
problem,
to my
man. Not.
podcast. I understand it that it's like
We
midnight over there
are
now, right?
1:20 in the morning.
Oh my goodness. Hey man, thanks for coming on. I have one kind of
Yeah,
final
shoot.
question for you. And you've been somebody that's traveled all over the world. Let me ask you this because it sounds like, you have a unique perspective on beauty. Uh, who do you think has the most beautiful women out there?
Oh, oh. I'm gonna have to go with me. I got the most beautiful women.
Yeah.
They're all here with me. Two of the three are actually sleeping right now. Um, I cooked earlier. They
Uh-huh.
overate, and now they're sleeping it off. Yeah, I, I've got the
There
most
you go,
beautiful women.
brother.
But if I was to say a country, I found some very very beautiful women in Europe and Eastern Europe, I'd say. But
Uh-huh.
it's hard to rein in what beauty is. I mean, a beautiful personality is better than a beautiful face, I think.
Man, let me tell you, I'm going to be 100% with you right now. I subscribe to that as well. Now, I asked that question on purpose. I find myself valuing respect above looks, so somebody that I meet that shows that respect from the beginning, that attraction just goes up abundance fold. Because I like, to me,
No,
looks aren't the end all be all.
no.
So
I mean, you see some of these TikTok girls, you think, yeah, she's pretty nice. Some of these sort of, they're just getting they do the t-shirts with the bottom of their tits hanging out, and it's like, yeah, that's a nice set of D's. But I bet she's got all the personality of a fucking potato. Yeah,
of a rock.
you'd have a better conversation with your foot.
My brother said something one time, and he listens to my podcast as well. And we were talking about somebody, and he said, "Yeah." He goes, "I liked her. She was attractive, but talking to
Yeah,
her was like talking to a doorknob." And man, when he said it, I wasn't expecting the word doorknob. And I cracked up laughing because when I thought about it and I thought about that person's personality, I agreed with him.
no, it's yeah. I've come across some absolutely beautiful women, and I've come across people that generally people you wouldn't find attractive, but I'm afraid I'm always going to go for the person that's got the nicer smile, the better personality, and yeah, basic human respect. I mean, I don't expect to be respected. I mean, the end of most conversations I have with women is when they find out what I do for a living. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Others see it as I'm uneducated. That's why I joined the military. Oh, I joined the military
Mm.
because I needed to be educated. And others have you do get like the the army fans as we call them. Yep,
I
yeah,
know what you mean.
yeah.
They see somebody in uniform and it's game
Yeah,
on.
then you tell them you're a mercenary, and they're like, "What's that?" It's like, "Oh dear." Well, I'm a soldier, but I work for myself and I negotiate my own wages. And sometimes it gets a little bit lost on them. Some of them crack it straight away, and like I said, that's normally the end of the conversation. Not everyone's into that sort of thing.
I would think of a lady hearing that, and there's a ooh, big strong mercenary, and that'd be more of a
For
fantasy
some,
for them.
yes, yeah. For some, it is. Others, I mean, I was at a friend's party having a good chat with a young lady, and her sister come across and said, "I know what you do for a living. You're a fucking murderer." And she spat in my face. I was like, "You can think what you like." It's like you don't actually know the ins and
Man.
outs of what I actually do. So you can have your opinion by all means. It's wrong, but you can have your opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, Soap, I'm not gonna take up
Nah, brother,
too much more
it's a
of your
pleasure.
time, brother. Like I said, Thank you for coming on to my podcast and sharing your experiences, sharing your life out there. And I enjoyed
Cool.
having this
Hope to
chat
be
with you,
back
brother.
again sometime.
Hey, absolutely.
There's a little bit of extra about my wife, but you don't really need to. Well, I'll let you know if you want. But the whole time I was away on tour, she was sleeping with other people. I only found that out after. Well, it was literally just before she give me the ultimatum. That made it so easy for me to have to choose the army over her.
I was going to ask you, but I'm like, he probably
I
would have
was
volunteered
trying to
it if,
get it in, but
there was
I
something
was
there.
rolling ahead of myself. Yeah, I was kind of getting ahead of myself a bit. But yeah, she was
Got you.
the whole time I was in Iraq and Afghanistan. She was getting rodded by engineers. So I was like, oh great, wonderful.
All
And
right,
you,
man. Take care.
good evening.